Alrighty, what is up, guys? Welcome to another Cozy Experience video. And we've been wanting to make this video for a little while now, give our thoughts and hear your thoughts. So the topic today is, are the magic of theme parks dying? Specifically relating to Disneyland, Disney World, and Universal Studios. Those, I would say, are the two giants, right? Cedar Park and Six Flags and the SeaWorld are all big. They're huge, but I would say they're not as big as Universal Studios and Disney. That's just my perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, or have your opinion. But in terms of popularity, you say theme parks, people think Universal Studios, Disneyland. You say I want to go to a theme park, what do you think?
Disney World, Universal Studios.
Exactly. At least for us, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is this video pertains to these two giants mostly, but it could also pertain to those other theme parks out there. First, we'll go through the topic in a general consensus view where they're together, and then we'll deep dive into individual studios and locations, showing you just why I think the spirit of theme parks are dying. Alright, so why we feel like the magic of theme parks is dying, specifically related to Disney and Universal Studios, is that although they're super fun and you have a wonderful and magical time when you're at the park, there are things that hinder your experience. The first being, before you even go and you're planning your trip, the ticket prices that they have are pretty outrageous.
Yes. And then anything on top of that, like if you want to stay at a resort or a hotel that is connected to the park, it's even more ridiculously priced.
So before even going, you're already having to stress yourself with, oh, well, if I go during this month or this season, maybe it's cheaper than the other, any other time that you're thinking of going. But then you come to a realization that no matter what, these ticket prices are high throughout the year. So yeah, that's the first thing, is ticket prices are getting outrageous. Resorts and hotels are not a value package. Although some are close, I would say some are even farther away from normal hotels, that it doesn't seem worth it. You will get that early admission.
The themed hotels, add to the fun and the magical experience. But if you think about it, you're not in the hotels very often, so it's almost... it's too much money to pay for something you're not even going to be there for a lot of the time.
Yeah. And granted, you can always leave the park, come back later to experience your hotel. But then this kind of leads into our next point, is when you do buy these, you do end up going and you bought your tickets and your hotels and everything. Now you're in a state of, I have to make the purchase worth it. I have to make my time here worth it.
Yeah, you have to get your money's worth. So you have to really just fit everything in. And at that point, you get exhausted.
Yeah, even if you're going for multiple days, right? And some people don't actually have the luxury of going for multiple days. They just want to go for one day, or they only have 2 days. Because of the price. I feel like it is because of the price that you're feeling like you have to cram and rush and meticulously organize your day. And nothing wrong with doing that on your own. But it kind of forces you to do that, and you can't just enjoy to enjoy. Yeah,
it's almost like you have to just back to back always doing something, because you want to try to fit everything in, because for some people they don't know when they're going to be back.
Yeah, and
it almost takes away from the experience of just slowing down and relaxing and enjoying and taking it all in, just because you're so busy trying to get everything in.
Yeah, and this is, again, for the scenario that most people, I would think, have at, Disney, Universal, is that you are there for a set amount of time. 1 day, 2 days. Of course, obviously, you're kind of going on a vacation, especially the Disney World. You're probably going to be there for multiple days, but even so, for the ones that aren't there for multiple days, and for the ones who don't have the luxury of having a season pass, right? Universal and Disney both have season passes, and again, we'll get into it a little bit later, but one has a better deal than the other. One of them you can't even get anymore, just because they suspended it. But yeah, so if you're not a local resident of the locations of these parks, you're kind of like, you know, out of luck, and you have to really plan your trip. One, why the magic is dying. Ticket prices are too dang high.
That's too dang high.
Ticket price too dang high.
Number 2. I feel like you gotta just cram everything in.
Feel like you must get your money's
worth.
And then let's talk about the third one while we are here. Because the prices are currently in 2023, because the ticket prices are so high, you get a stigma that these theme parks are catering to
the wealthy.
And we all know not everyone's wealthy, and we all know that you don't need to be wealthy to go to a theme park, but like it's getting to the point where I feel like just regular people can't go to these anymore.
I mean, I agree. Everything is like between the ticket prices, hotels, theme park foods, any kind of souvenir, everything is just crazy expensive now. It's like you really need to plan and budget and make sacrifices. You like, you know, I really want that, but it's this much money, and if I do that, then I can't do something else.
Yeah, and I know a ton of people, a ton of families, they save their money, which is good to go on these trips, because you know it's vacation, you want to splurge, but not gonna lie, you know, after these trips you feel like it was worth it, it was fun, but you spent so much money.
So much money. And then you can kind of think back, and it's like some of the things you spent this much money on, it wasn't like, I don't know, I feel like some of the things just isn't worth the price.
Speaking of which, I mean, to her point, that, you know, when you buy, let's say, a food item, right, especially with food at both theme parks that we've experienced, some of the food items you buy and they're like 14, 15 bucks, $10, and you would think $10 is not that bad, which it isn't, but then you get something the size of your thumb and you're like, okay, was that like really worth it?
Like just the wave of disappointment. It's like I could have spent money on something
towards something else. But yeah, so like for case in point, our example was, you know, we're not from Florida, but when we went, the alternative, and it was a better alternative, we Ubered to our hotel and then to other locations. We had a total of 6 Uber rides, and it was like a total of, overall in the end, it was like $120 or something like that at most.
Yeah.
Out of the 6 trips. And then we walked to the park and back home, or back to the hotel, because one, we were really close. We found a resort. We found
it was a non-resort near the hotel or near the parks.
Yeah, but it was close enough to where we can just walk, which was really nice. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, some families from out of town will rent a car, and just renting a car is like at least $300 to $500, if not more, depending on how many days you're there, in total in the end, which adds to your price. And the funny thing is like you're not using it that much. Maybe to go get dinner afterwards, but like if you're at the parks and City Walk or downtown Disney or Disney Springs, that's so close by that, you know, you just end up staying there. It's a short trip, so you're not really using the car's worth, you know.
Exactly. And if you get the car and you go to these parks, you have to pay for parking.
Exactly.
It's just more like expenses that you don't need.
It's adding a ton. So now let's get into the nitty gritty of why these parks are going nuts. So let's start with Disney, right? This is Disneyland. So this is in California. You have 2 separate parks there. So already they're splitting your attention. You must take your time to go to Disneyland, or you must choose California Adventure if you're a one-day goer. If you're multiple days, or if you're, starting with multiple days, now you're having to spend an extra day if you want to go to both parks. Unless, you know, you obviously have the park hopper option. I think after a certain time is when you're allowed to hop over to the other park. And then not to mention... This is
extra money, isn't it?
Yes, it's extra money added on top of your ticket. And not to mention, these parks close at different hours. So they open at the same time, but close, you know, there's a 2-hour difference here.
Yeah.
So now you're like, okay, well, I have to spend my time at this part until this part closes and then go back, or vice versa. So you're having to do all these different logistics and calculations to really get your money's worth, right? If you're a park hopper.
Yeah.
And if you're only there for one day, again, there's so many different scenarios. But the scenario we're gonna go with is 1 day park goer. So let's do, a standard park ticket, starting at $83 a day. Well, 5 times 83. What is that?
Let's do the math. 5.
That's $415. So like, look, you're like 1 day it's 104. Go for 2 days, but then it jumps to like what? Why,
yeah, what the heck?
Why is 2 days 143? And then like it makes no sense. So here, just for sake, let's go hit 5, right? And you're more than likely you're not going to the theme park alone. So let's do 2 tickets. For now, let's do 1 park per day. But keep in mind, park hopper is $60 added on top. So let's do 1 park per day. Let's say we're going the first week of April. On a weekday, Monday through Friday. You have to select your park here. Let's just do that. Okay, continue. Oh, look at that subtotal for 2 people already. $830 for 5 days.
And this is, the price without any food, without any driving, no hotels. This is just the park. Without any like souvenirs, any added bonus stuff.
Yeah, not to mention the Genie Plus service, Express Pass, essentially.
Yeah.
And then if you're parking is $30 per visit. If you are parking at Disneyland in the garage, so this is the end of the 5 day, right? If you're just going to 1 park per day, it is $83 a day. Do you really need to go 5 days not that it's bad going 5 days at Disneyland, but like if you don't really need to go for 5 days at Disneyland just to get the cheapest price ticket,
Yeah.
And then if you're adding park hopper on top of that, so $60 per day per person, so $120 for added on top of that for 1 day. So then what's 120 times 5? It's 600. So add 600 to that. That's $1,430 for park hopper if you're doing all day for 5 days.
Yeah, and obviously if you do 5 days, each day is the cheaper price. However, in the long run, you're still paying more money.
All right, so now let's redo this. We're only going for 1 day, 2 people. And then look, why is the park hopper more expensive just for going for 1 day? It's $65 here per person now. So let's add on top of that. In April, it shows you $244. Now you're spending close to $500. You're spending close to $500.
Oh, maybe it's worth going 5 days.
Just for 1 day for 2 people, $500 with park hopper. That is insane. And look, we go back, right? And it said what lowest price was 104. With the first week of April, it's 180. It looks like May is your best bet to get the 104 on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. That's the cheap. Yeah, so you really have to like search for these days. 104. That's on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. This one's on a Monday. So like, yes, they have them out there. They only go as far as July. But again, when you're taking your vacation, are you really, typically you want to spend your weekend. If you want to be smart about your vacation days, do it during the week so that, a lot of these attractions are cheaper during the week. So as you can see, on a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
And weekends typically have more crowds than weekdays, so.
Yeah. So there is a way to, be satisfied with your ticket purchase. But yeah, so depending on how you manage your vacation time on the days that you go, you can make it work out really well. But the point of this video is to show you, like, that's nuts. If you want to go in April, 180 California Adventure. So then for 2 people, you're still spending at least $358, which is still close to $400. And then if you want to add the park hopper ticket on top of that, that was what made it close to $500.
500. Mm-hmm.
Like, dang, just for one day for 2 people.
Yeah, and that's just the ticket.
Yeah, for one day. Here, let's do their cheapest one, 194. What about May? 169 is the cheapest. So 338. So that's a better price with park hopper than it was with no park hopper on a single day. So this is just Disneyland. Let's go to Disney World.
And also, that was just for 2 people. Like, what about the people who are trying to go with their families?
Oh yeah. And so with Disney World, it's not just 2 parks. You have 4 main parks, and then you have their water parks.
Mm-hmm.
But like the 4 main parks, and they close earlier than Disneyland. Disney World has an annual pass, which you can't get this anymore. But like for $1,400, like that is worth it in my opinion if you're to do it. Disneyland has currently unavailable because you can't get, unless you already bought it from way before, you can continue to have it.
That's booty.
And so if you're to buy a ticket, it says $109 per day. Okay, you hit continue. So for one day, obviously we saw before, the more days you go, the cheaper it gets. But say for one day, it says as low as 109. Can we find a 109? So far the lowest has been 139. 139 right here.
Oh, okay.
On a Monday and Tuesday. Still 139 in May. So compared to Disneyland, the lowest was what? It was actually 104. Yeah, you keep going.
134.
Keep going. 134. 139. Yep,
109 right there.
109. Like we said, the last 2 weeks of August.
When everyone's going back to school.
In the middle of the week. Tuesday through Friday. Except for September. But I guess the whole month, Tuesday through Thursday, it's 109 on in September.
There you go.
There you go, guys. The last 2 weeks of August and the whole month of September, Tuesday through Thursday. That's where you get your cheap tickets. But yeah, again,
quote unquote cheap.
Right? But then it's so weird. You increase the number for 2 days. Normally you would think, just like the rest of the days, when you buy something more than like a combo, typically it should be cheaper when you buy more, right?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Just
like clothing, you buy this, you get the next one 50% off. You buy, or a combo meal, like you buy a little more and it's a little cheaper.
Maybe it's a mental game. Maybe they're making you think, oh, that's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
If I do days, it's a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm. It is a mental thing. So like at this point, you either buy one day more than once, or you buy at least 5 to see a different price significance. But if you buy 2 to 4 days, you're kind of screwing yourself. So like I don't know what they're thinking. I don't get it.
It doesn't make any sense.
And I'll tell you guys that Universal ain't that much better. Yes, they have special offers. I don't know if Universal Hollywood does them. I know for a fact Universal Studios Orlando does them. Ours was a 2 days free for a 2-park for a 2-day ticket. This is a recent promotion where now it's a 3-day ticket and then you get 2 days free. So they're making you still spend more and they're making you stay longer than you would want to.
we got a better deal.
So you hit buy, right? At Universal Orlando. Number of days of visits. I guess this one you have to be 3. So an adult ticket is $300, and it's, you know, you're going 2 people. So for 5 days, let's see. Our example was April, right? It goes 375, and let's keep going. The highest I see has been 380 something, but I don't know how far out it goes. But okay, so in August you're finally getting 330 something. September 314, 301 in September. But for sake of the thing, we're going here. We're starting on this Monday.
Almost $1,000.
$771.98 just to go to the parks. We spent how much for our 4-day vacation? 500.
I don't know.
It was less than 500.
It was like, yeah, it was like four.
It was like 450. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 450 for 2 people. You're almost doubling it. And not to mention, as we said before, with these the express passes here, let's next steps, which are the express passes. It's already the price of a normal ticket. And this is for unlimited, which is, I guess you skip as many times as you want, which is really nice. So that's a pretty cool deal, right? Again,
yeah.
Price is 1. But let's just say you don't do the unlimited one. You do where you get to use Express Pass once per ride, per visit. So you're doing 2, right, for a person per person. It said 104. Psych. This one's $320 just for a day. Just for a day.
And on
per person.
Thursday wasn't like super busy anyway.
Yeah, like $320 per person per day, and you only get to use it once per ride. That is nuts. Okay, yeah. So here's the breakdown, right? 2 people in total, that much. 2 people in total just for 1 day. It's just as much as your 5 days there. It's just as much. That is gnarly.
Insane.
Look at this price.
Almost $1,600. Just for the tickets. The food at these places are ridiculously priced already.
The hotel, you're spending at least what, roughly, I would say at least $300, right? Depending what kind of hotel, motel you get. You're spending at least $300 at just the hotels, and then any other expenses that you need to do.
If you don't get super close to the parks, then you have to consider Uber or renting a car, and that just adds so much more money.
And I think on our trip, on food alone, we spent nearly like $500 in total. On food alone. So let's say $500 on food. You're at $2,067, and then your hotel, you're at $2,367, and then just any other, like if you want to go shopping or anywhere else, like, and this is just for 2 people. So you're spending nearly at most $3,000 for 2 people, just for in a span of at least 5 days. That's a month's worth. That's a salary. That's a month's salary. And 5 days gone.
And this is just for 2 people. So if you're trying to take a family, ooh.
Yeah. And this is Universal Orlando. You get to Universal Hollywood, and it's the same. I think it's the same thing. I would say if you're going to Universal Hollywood, just do an annual pass. That's what makes it worth it. See, 1-day ticket. We hit next, and look, it said what? As low as 109. And so again, you're never gonna reach the lowest until we get a little farther. Hopefully August and September show the lowest. August still yet to show the lowest. September. So September is when you're hitting that lowest. And that's just for 1 day. So I would say that's worth it, right? Okay, hey, let's do the Express Pass. Let's upgrade. So, Universal Studios Hollywood, I think it did it. It's $200. So then you're adding for that day specifically, it's $200. Like, why is it more? Why is the Express Pass cost more than the actual ticket?
For real.
So that's our gripes of why we think the magic is dying. To that case in point, here an article came out from Daily Mail. The CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, admits that the pricing of theme parks are too aggressive. You know, again, like a lot of people have these complaints that it's a ripoff now.
I mean, they charge $20,000 for a hotel room, basically. Like, unless I'm going into actual space, why would I want to pay that much money?
In our zeal to grow profits, we may have been a little bit too aggressive about some of our pricing. A little bit? Sir! Sir! That's not a little bit. If you want to look at history, you know, go back in the 2000s, Disney used to cost around like $50, which again, that is like a lot of money back then, especially like in the 90s and the early 2000s. $50 per person was still a lot of money.
But it's aggressively more expensive now.
Yes. And so like, and then he continues, I think there's a way to continue to grow that business, be smart about how we price so that we maintain that brand value of accessibility. Right. So because the stigma became that, oh, it's only, you know, catered towards the rich, or it's, you know, it's their idea of reducing crowds, that comes with the criticism of it is not accessible because you're pushing normal people out.
Exactly.
So that's our thoughts on why we think the magic is dying at especially Universal and Disney. And I wouldn't even say it's the magic is dying.
Yeah.
And it's causing us to feel these things right here.
And I'm sure many other people would probably agree.
That is the end of our video. I know we kind of went off and ranted, but we really wanted to kind of do a deep dive into this topic and our takes on it. But let us know what your takes are in the comments below.
If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit that now. We upload videos every Monday and Friday. If you want to be alerted, make sure you hit the bell to let you know when a new video comes out.
And occasionally we'll do a random video like this and upload it on a Wednesday. I hope all you guys have a good day, and we'll catch you in the next Cozy Experience. Peace.